Trying to balance school, social life, work, and extracurriculars can be exhausting. As a student, it is extremely difficult to constantly stay on top of things. I'm a person who loves to go out and have fun, but I also need to make sure I have enough time for schoolwork and revision. And so the secret to how I balance my life as a student is using Notion. The main thing I've honestly been using for years, which has completely saved me, is Notion. Notion is a necessity and a must for literally every student, and it has been such a lifesaver for me. Notion is like a set of building blocks for creating things I love to use, and it's a single space where you can think, write, and plan exactly the way you want to. If you're familiar with Notion, then you'll know how customizable it is. You can literally customize every single aspect exactly the way you want it. It's so aesthetic, and to be honest, it's so fun to use. Like, you can drag and drop everything around your pages, and especially for me as a busy student who has a lot of other things they like to do, Notion is exactly what helps to keep me organized. So I wanted to actually give you guys an in-depth Notion tour because I feel like this has been constantly and repeatedly requested throughout my comments, and I also just genuinely wanted to show you guys how I organize myself. So when I first open my Notion app, I always open it to the daily section. This page, if you can't tell, I basically refer back to daily. So on here I just have a basic morning and night routine that I like to stick to, and all my morning and night non-negotiables. And then on the right hand side I also have a list of things that I need to do this week, and then underneath I have a little to do today section. So if I want to write a to-do list that day, then I will normally write it under there. Underneath that, if I scroll down, I have my week. So today is Saturday, so you can see most things this week have been ticked off. Every Sunday or Sunday evening I basically write down everything I need to do that week, or like main things I need to remember for each day, and then each morning I'll just make sure to refer back to that list to double check that my week and my day will all be planned and sorted out and that I won't have forgotten anything major. And then the next page I use is life. So this is more of like a personal hub slash section. So on here at the top left I have a habit tracker. So when I click on here, you can see I have all the different habits I try to do each day, and then a checklist for every time I do them each day. And then I also have a section for movement of the day, or like some sort of movement or exercise that I've done that day. And this normally just allows me to like reflect back on the week and see what I did and what I haven't done. And then going back to the main hub, I also have a reading list. So on here I will basically keep track of books that I want to read, either I've read or I'm currently reading. So if someone gives me a book recommendation, I'm like, oh, let me write that down. I'll put that on this section of my Notion. I then have a 2022 goals list. I'm not going to click on this section because I have a bunch of like quite personal goals on there as well. And underneath is a photo of me and Lily from France. Throughout my Notion I sort of love to dot photos around, and they're just nice to look back on. And then this planner is quite hectic, as you can see, that's on the right, and that's where I plan like most of my social events. So like if I'm going to a party or if I'm meeting up with friends, I'll make sure to write it down on there just so things don't clash. And then finally underneath that on the life hub I have a meal inspo page. I basically just have a bunch of like recipes and like links to recipes that I want to try or I have tried and I really like. But if a friend recommends me like a certain recipe or like a certain meal, I will write it down on there. Or if I see something that I really like, I'll put it down on there. Underneath that I have a routine section. There's not much on here, to be honest. I just have a end of week routine and an end of month routine that I like to go to. So there you go, you can see my weekly and monthly routine that I try to do each week and each month. But finally on this page I have a little miscellaneous hub. So on here are basically everything that like I have the thought and I just want to write it down. So on here I have a little Paris page, which is where I've written down like ideas for Paris, travel, etc. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I ever write down like a note on my notes page, for example stuff like I want to do to my dad's house bedroom, the note will go missing and I will completely lose it and I'll just forget about it. Whereas on Notion I know where it is. The next main page that I use is the work and creativity one. So this is basically my social media like hub. My laptop is overheating like crazy. So on here I have a goals in the top left corner. These are just like main goals. I have more goals in like the 2022 goals section, and then underneath I have a bunch of different pages, so I'll talk you guys through them. So the first title subheading I have is content creation. So we'll go on to YouTube, and then on YouTube we have a bunch more pages. It's quite in depth, my Notion, but I feel like it just keeps me so organized. So on my YouTube I have a video ideas roadmap. So on here I'll write down any YouTube video ideas I have, and then I'll sort of write down like brief notes for the video if I have any ideas for it, and then when I'm filming it I will transfer it to the doing section, and once I've completed I'll transfer it to the complete section. What I love about Notion is how simple it is. Literally I just drag and drop. Like if I want to move something I can drag and drop it to the completed. The next section I have is just a checklist before posting. So basically each time before I post a YouTube video I just have a bullet point list of things I need to remember to do. Brand deals page. So on here I'll just have current brands that I'm working with. So whether I've just signed off with them, whether I'm doing the creative treatment, whether I filmed it, or whether I've just completely submitted it, that's like what I'll sort of use on this page. And then I have like an editing section. So if you follow me on Instagram, I think I updated you guys that I basically have been trialing editors just to help me out during exam season. So when I was recruiting an editor, I sort of just put down different people here, and now I have my editor. I just write down what date she's going to be editing some of my videos, and then what videos they're going to be, so that when I call her I can tell her all the information she needs to try and make it the best she basically can. I also have a content inspiration page, and on here I literally just have a list of different creators that I like look for content inspo. And finally the last page is workshops. So when I go to a workshop with my management company or like an online workshop, I will basically take notes down in this section so I don't forget them, and I've also given them a rating just to say how useful they were. Okay, and then back to the content creation side and onto Instagram. This is not as detailed as my YouTube section, but I'll just have outfit ideas and location ideas on here, and if I'm struggling to find like places to take photos then I will look there for inspiration. And finally on the TikTok section I just have like a video ideas section, and that's all I have on there really, because TikTok, like for me as a social media platform, is very casual. Like if you guys follow and you see the TikToks I post, they're not as planned or as organized as my YouTube videos. And then underneath that I have a dream brand section where I just write down any dream brands that I want to work with, and underneath that I have a career path options. So I have different career ideas in mind. So one of them is obviously medicine, I think you guys know. Like another one would be go down more the YouTube route and sticking with that idea. So I've just written down different career path options and like my plan to get there basically. And then again, another thing I use the most is calendars. So I also have a social media timeline calendar. So every time I have a video due, a creative concept due, a video I need to upload, anything I particularly want to vlog, I will write down that into there to make sure I do it. And this really helps me stay organized and on top of it in the work aspect, because I don't want to be missing deadlines, and this is just like a clear cut like what I need to hand in and when I do. Okay, moving on to the next page. I use Notion to journal because I find journaling really helpful for me. Some days it'll be more of a light-hearted journal, like I'll just write down things I'm grateful for, and then some days if I want to write out my emotions I like to write these down on Notion. And it's also good to look back on and just like reflect how I was feeling. But this page I keep it very simple. I literally just have a calendar, and then any day I fancy journaling I would just write the date and journal my thoughts underneath, and it's just a very plain simple page. So, and then my last page is one of my favorites, which is the school one. So as you guys have seen, I use Notion for like so much in my life, but as a student I feel like Notion is so helpful when it comes to organization with school. So on my school page I've included a few photos because school can sometimes be really difficult and hard to motivate yourself. So I've just got a few Pinterest pics, a few pics of my own, and then I have a countdown for my November mocks, which are in 1 month, 1 week, 4 days and 17 hours. So honestly not even that long, and I haven't properly started revising for them yet, so a bit stressed out, but we know what, we're getting there. And then in this main section I have a few different pages. So I have a subjects checklist one. So on here I've written down all the different subjects that I'll need to revise for mocks, and under each subject I have a checklist of everything I need to revise. For example, when I go into biology you can see the different topics I need to study, and then also just some like exam resources, and as I revise those topics I will slowly tick them off one by one and then move them to different columns and drag them to see how far I am in with the revision. I'm telling you guys, if you struggle to know like what revision to do, this is so helpful to figure out like what topics you haven't really revised and what subjects like you have revised a lot of, which is why I find that really useful. And then under revision timetable, I'm not going to go on to that because there is a bunch of details basically, but like 2-3 weeks away from mocks, I'll write myself like a detailed plan structure of a revision timetable. Literally for like each hour of each night, I will try figure out like different subjects I want to revise and like what I'll do that night, because one of the main things of procrastination for me is when I don't know what to do. Like if I'm not sure what topic I'm supposed to be studying, then I will procrastinate. But if I have like a set plan, then I'm much more likely to do it. Underneath that, I have an RE revision. I haven't actually gone on that in a while, but that was because they had the RE GCSE this year, so that was like a main focus of my revision this year. And then I also have a section for my English tutor, so I get an English tutor, and then when she gives me like tips or we do practice questions, I'll write that all down on there, and then all like the help she's given me is on one place and it's online, so it's not like I'm gonna lose any notes. Further down, I just have any like to-dos for school related, and then under that I have another calendar filled with assignments I need to do. And finally at the bottom I have a weekly schedule of just my class timetable. I do have like a paper copy of this, but if I ever lose my planner, which happens a few times, then I always have this here just in case. But yeah, that is an in-depth Notion tour. This was so highly requested, and I feel like I genuinely just wanted to show you guys how I stay organized, because a lot of you guys ask how I balance things, and Notion is one of the main tools that I use to help me do that. Notion is completely free for all students and educators, and I'll also leave a link in my description for you guys to sign up. It's so much fun creating and customizing your own Notion, and let me know the main things that you guys use Notion for, because I absolutely love it and literally use it for everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.